Beast Machine episode reviews now continue with Fallout, the first episode of the second season and probably the strangest episode of this series yet. So when I collect thumbnails, I'm always just kind of looking for things that stand out, like little things from the episode that are like really visually different. I was spoiled for choice. I was spoiled for choice in this episode. Oh my god, there's so many weird visuals. The episode starts with Primal dying. Again. It's the second time now. Him and Megatron kind of do battle with each other in metaphysical space. And during which Primal has a head trip, which he is prone to do in this series. Essentially, the episode itself, if I'm boiling down the plot before we really get into it, the big weapons go off, and the Maximals, somehow surviving it, now have to pick up the pieces and figure out what to do now. So, Primal's little head trip is really to do what it's usually doing in this series, pushing his guilt story even further. At one point, he's literally battling himself over it. It's a weird sequence, and it's not the only weird metaphysical sequence we get with Primal in this episode. The other part that's weird here is that we get to talk to Rhinox, and he actually sounds a little bit more like Rhinox now. He has passed into the Matrix, so he's dead now. In case anyone is waiting for a last-minute face turn, nope. He is talking more like normal Rhinox, and he's talking about, paying for, like, his misguided deeds. At no point does he say that his spark has been purified, or there's any indication that being Tankor, or being manipulated by Megatron, somehow made him who he was. He's just kind of accepting that he was misguided, it was a mistake, it's not too late for you, etc., etc. And this is enough to trigger Primal into Deus Ex Machina mode. So he comes out of his vision. He's now in robot mode. His hand is restored, even though we saw it Thanos away. And he basically uses like that energy absorbing thing he can do to enemy blast in order to shoot one back. He's now doing that to the entirety of the energy from the key and the plasma energy chamber at the exact same time. And he's funneling all of it down through the Oracle into the Matrix. Somehow he is magically cured of the effect from the Vector Sigma. No explanation. I guess the Oracle can just go, I like you today. There you go. It's cured. And then the rest of the Maximals somehow get cured of it when he starts pulling all the energy around. I don't know. I mean, it's very Deus Ex, hit the reset button, get us to the point where we need to be in Season 2. That's what it feels like in the episode. That's pretty much what happens. What's hilarious is that, like, it's implied that Megatron and Tankor are both dead while Primal's doing this. So, like, as the, like, Energon storm is going off all around them, their bodies just kind of flying around, just kind of lifeless. It's a little bit funny to watch them ragdoll a little bit. So without Megatron, which you can see in this screenshot, his entire body's dissolved, so his original body, completely gone. We'll talk about that screenshot later. With Primal, with Megatron gone, Cybertron is dead. Lights are out, all the drones are out and just laying around. Now, I will admit, it's kind of a creepy image to see the entire planet 100% dead and inactive. So, that's already on the creepy side. And it's eerily quiet now, which is not anything like we've seen this for Cybertron in this series yet. It's ironic considering there's no one left on the planet. There is an encounter with Viacons. The two remaining ones, Thrust and Jetstorm, they are still functional, and they're still eager to fight the Maximals, even though they have no leader and no drones. But hey, villains are gonna villain. It's an interesting scene, though, because the Maximals are actually trying to make peace. Well, at first they try to make peace. a fight breaks out. Black Arachnia is the one that has to get everyone tame and calm everyone down, and she makes one more plea to Silverbolt before this fight breaks out. She goes, no, everyone, this is getting us nowhere. And then she goes to Jetstorm and goes, you don't want to be Silverbolt anymore? Fine. I'm not going to make you anymore. It's not worth fighting over. Remember this line. It will become relevant in future episodes. But it's there is kind of a funny interlude to it. Because, just for briefly, they're not friends. They are not on each other's side, but they are at least amicable. So the Viacons turn the offer down. They just kind of want to go off and blow things up. But they don't stay to fight either. So it's kind of a neutral territory for them at the moment. I think the big takeaway here is that Thrust actually suggests that Jetstorm is his friend. And you never hear about villain characters in Transformers considering each other friends, that very rarely happens. So it's kind of cool to see here that he actually thinks of them that way. But yeah, so for the Maximals, the big thing is exploration. They go to the Citadel, they find Megatron gone, and they find this, which is supposed to be Optimus Primal turned to dust from his attempts to control all of that energy. What it looks like is somebody took a gorilla costume and forgot to inflate it. It looks like he looks like he got run over by like a steamroller. It looks like his entire body is made out of like rolled dough. Someone just threw random pieces of Primal on top. It's supposed to be this really grave image of like, oh my god, Primal's entire body is just dust now. That's serious. That's really bad. And it's one of the most hilarious visuals in this entire series. It really is. Yeah. Hard to top that in this episode. So we get metaphysical again. We see Primal journeying to the Matrix. He sees the well of sparks floating around. For a while, all the sparks looks like him. No explanation there. And yeah, there's this weird thing. So Primal says he's ready to join the Matrix. And he floats closer to it. And at some point, like a spark just kind of flies into his hand. And it's in a moment's notice, he just kind of has this little revelation about what was going on. That Cybertron never imagined a war between the organic and the technological, but the Matrix wanted them to find a balance between the natural and the mechanical, akin to their own bodies, which, considering they were reformatted into bodies that were exactly like that by the Oracle, you kind of think they'd pick up on that just a little bit faster, wouldn't you? You'd think it'd be just a little bit faster on the upkeep on this one. So Primal does realize that, and here's the thing, so among the weird imagery, the Maximals actually do go down to the Oracle. There's a lot of imagery in this episode that actually harkens back to the first episode, like descending down into the deepest parts of Cybertron via Black Arachnia's webbing. So they go back to where they found the Oracle in the first place, and they find the Oracle with a giant image of Primal floating inside of it, which is one of those images that's never explained why we're looking at it or what it actually means. It's just a really shocking visual, just for the sake. There it is, just for the sake of being like really weird. But in the course of this, like Primal gets this one spark in his hand and he's staring at it and he makes this revelation. And then he's pushing this idea that the Matrix sent them to the Earth to bring DNA back to Cybertron, which doesn't make sense when there's caves full of fossils under Cybertron, and doesn't make sense when only 5 came back from the Beast Wars in the first place. 7 came back overall, I think. Okay, 4 Maximals, 2 that went missing, and then 7. So that's 7 between Maximals and Megatron, and then 8 because we have a Fusor in there. So 8 whole DNA samples to reveal the whole planet. I always hate that part of the story. But Primal looks at this spark and he goes, "Yes, I am ready to join the Matrix, but not today." And he it doesn't take anything for him to make this like there's nothing talks to him. Nothing makes him make this epiphany. He just kind of goes, "Oh yeah," and leaves. You know what? I'm not ready to die. Let's call this off. Call it off. We'll call this a mulligan. I'll get back to you in 13 episodes. So, he comes back. And the Oracle now says, "Okay, since you've made your own choice now, since you've exercised your freedom, you've passed. I have nothing left to teach you." And the Oracle just goes away and leaves a whole bunch of techno-organic plants all around. Which, according to Primal, what starts in simplicity must grow in simplicity. Which doesn't really make any sense. It just comes across as just like, I don't know, some spiritual nonsense. It doesn't really make any sense in the moment when you're looking at plants that are half mechanical. There's nothing simple about it. But yeah, that seems to be their new goal. Grow more of these trees. And to interfere with that, and because we can't end this episode on anything but like a big ominous cliffhanger, a gigantic Megatron head floats up out of nowhere. Was that always there? Did we just, where has that been hiding the first 13 episodes? Like, Megatron just made, a spaceship out of his head. And it's just been flying around. And it's just been, there, just waiting to, come up just at any time. So, yeah, we find out that way that, yeah, Megatron's not entirely dead himself. The state of which we will have to wait until next episode to find out. So, Fallout is a bizarre episode. It is a bizarre episode, and I'm not sure if it really lives up to being a season 2, a payoff to that cliffhanger, because it is so Deus Ex how everything gets fixed. It's a little disappointing. I do like the throwbacks to the first episode. I do like some of the elements that got worked in. But overall, I'm still going to make it a passable episode. There's a lot of weirdness going on this one. It's almost enjoyable for me. Almost. I think if a few details were handled better, I think I'd be a little bit more into it. But as it is, it's just there. It's just kind of okay. So that is Fallout, which I'd rather be playing the actual Fallout game, because I think the game about surviving nuclear winter is actually taking itself less seriously than this show does. But hey, we are officially past the halfway point. Join me tomorrow. We will continue into this, and we'll start getting into some different episodes. Season 2 is a wild ride. I will see you then.
Yeah, I guess I'll give Bardic to Pain. Pain, my number one good best friend. You got this.
You're just basically like Caboose at this point.
Just
like church. Oh, God.
That's all right. Let's keep this Pain train going. The Caboose is here.
Son of a bitch.
No.
And yeah,
This makes me Tucker. I'm quitting.
Jaws, take 2 psychic damage.